Hello everyone, it's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Juror number 2, which might be Clint Eastwood's last film directed by Eastwood, starring Nicholas Hoult as a juror who winds up being on a case that is way more complex as he serves on this high-profile murder trial. His wife is about to give birth with a high-risk pregnancy, and it's such a compelling story because this juror knows that this defendant didn't do it because he was there, and there's a lot more to the story than that. And this is such a interesting twist on a courtroom drama because, you have the likes of 12 Angry Men and so many others that really set the stage for a courtroom drama, and this adds this added layer that, there's such a big moral quandary here because this juror not only knows that the defendant didn't do it, also has plenty of his own guilt for what actually happened. And Nicholas Hoult gives a fantastic performance. There's moments where he lays it all out on the line, emotionally, on screen, and he gives a really compelling leading performance in this film that just really works. And I was really blown away by Nicholas Hoult here because I know he's a really talented actor and he really has shined in certain roles. There's others where, I didn't really care for him as Beast in the X-Men films. I have high standards. He's one of my favorite characters and I just didn't really feel like he fit. But he's a great anchor to this film. But it's paralleled with this fantastic performance by Toni Collette as the prosecutor, who honestly is confronted with just as a uncomfortable moral quandary as she starts to realize maybe she's wrong, but it could cost her this district attorney job. And there's so many dynamics that come out of that. And I think Clint Eastwood does a great job of building the tension based off of Jonathan A. Abrams' script. And there is so much to sink your teeth into this film, from these morally gray areas. And I do feel like there's some conveniences. Some of the juror characters are very much, convenient caricatures, or what their background is feels very convenient to what this case is. And sure, you have to take in some of those contrived natures of the script, but it's still thrilling, it's compelling, but it's done in a subtle way. And I feel like what Eastwood's able to do, this feels like a very lean, pristine, old school kind of film. There's a couple of moments where there's a little flair from the editing perspective when you have the opening arguments or the closing arguments and how prosecutor and defense attorney seamlessly editing together, or when we really see what fully happened that evening being brought back into Nicholas Hoult's head and how that seamlessly edits together. There's a smoothness, there's a confidence from a director that has literally been doing this for 50 years, so he certainly knows what he's doing. And there's not a lot of flair to this film. It's lean, it's mean, and very much so, that's the kind of director that Clint Eastwood is. And this is, I really think, his best film since Gran Torino 16 years ago. So this is a really impactful experience watching this film. It has a great cast outside of Hoult and Collette. You have J.K. Simmons, who plays a key role for a bit, Kiefer Sutherland popping in and out. You have Zoe Deutsch, who plays Nicholas Hoult's wife, and she gives a fantastic performance. You have the likes of Leslie Bibb popping in there. Chris Messina, who's the defense attorney, I think does a really fine job as well. Cedric Yarbrough has a big part. I do feel like some of, specifically the two black jurors in this film feel very cliched. But Yarbrough, I feel like, is doing a lot with a little that he's presented. You even have Francesca Eastwood, who plays the victim in this film, and I think she does a really fine job in the limited parts that she's in it. But overall, this is a really well acted film. It's a well directed film. It's done in such a classic kind of way. It has a score that really works from Mark Mancina, and there's bits of humor that I think are fun and add some levity to the situation. This film feels very natural. There's definitely, like I mentioned, some contrivedness and convenience to make this all come together. And I think that takes away from this being like an all-time great film for Eastwood. But this is one of the finest films he's done in a long time. This is good filmmaking. And this is a damn good film. And I hope that you can check it out in the theater. I drove an hour to King of Prussia to go see this because I'm like, holy crap, it's actually playing. Screw you, Warner Brothers. But thank you for, I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan, and he's been one of my favorite directors for a while. The last few years have been really rough up and down because he hasn't really delivered a film that's like been more than, wow, that was a fine film, or that was entertaining, and some were just bad. If this is his last film, I think this is a really good effort for him to go out on. And at the end of the day, this is a film worth watching, even if you have to wait to watch it on Max. But those are my thoughts on Juror number 2. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.